Last one?
Do we want to do one more? Or?
Doesn't matter to me.
I totally can, but I shouldn't be the deciding vote because it's 2 hours later over where you guys are.
I clicked it.
All right,
we're
doing one more.
This is the last game.
Come on.
Win or lose.
This is the one.
If DJ needs to get his fix of winning the last match, then he'll have to keep playing while we record.
Yeah, what if we
can just put this out as an episode.
Yeah.
The commentary.
It's just us going, hey now, hey now.
They put a wall between us.
Hey everybody, welcome to Pursuing Pixels. This is episode number 41, and my name's Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with Randall Nolery.
Hey everybody.
DJ Mandolini.
Yo.
And John Hines.
Hello.
Welcome back, Randall. We missed you for a couple of weeks, polishing off those exams. How'd everything go on that front?
Passed all those bitches, so I'm good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Feeling good
Beautiful.
about life.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, we carried the torch for you for a little bit with the retro games for a couple of weeks, and now we're back in full force to talk about some video games. And I guess we can get right into talking about an experience that we all had that I guess I've kind of, teased might not be quite the right word, but I know when I was talking about like No Man's Sky, and when we talked about Race the Sun, and when we talked about, there's been a handful of other games Super Hot, yeah, that we've talked about playing in VR, like as I was playing them, just like, man, this would be a really cool experience in VR. And DJ kind of just, I don't know if there's any really rhyme or reason to why, other than you were just suggesting it.
Well, yeah, I go to this one like theater in the city, and it's in this mall that has
the weirdest mall.
Yeah, because it feels like the theater's the only thing that like gets any action, and then
it's what keeps the mall in business.
I say, what's a normal mall at this point, though? Honestly.
That's true. Fair point.
There's the theater.
For as long as I've been in this mall, there's only been the Landmark Theater, which is at the top floor.
Yeah. And then there's the axe throwing in the basement.
That was not there.
This is a new thing.
Oh.
It was always like, for the longest time, there was like a CVS in the basement, or not the basement, but like on the ground level, and then like a Victoria's Secret. And then you would go up like this winding staircase or take an elevator, but like up to like the 7th or 8th floor to get to the theater. But there's nothing.
Staircase.
Yeah, it's fun to kind of walk up the staircase, but there's not really any. There's like maybe there are offices, or I don't really know what's going on in this
just
building.
Empty storefronts.
Yeah,
because it's a mall in 2020.
Exactly. Right? But the theater, it's a great theater because they show a lot of like the big movies that come out, obviously, but they show a lot of like indie films, and that's kind of one of the few theaters in the city that consistently get the bigger.
Yeah, it was like the only place that showed stuff like Her or whatever.
Yeah, I remember seeing Boyhood there.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Right.
So, I'm a lazy boy, so when I go to this theater, I want to get my steps in, so I take the winding staircase. I guess I noticed that there's a VR lounge there, and none of us had done VR before. And I looked it up and was just like, oh, this is reasonably priced. We should just get a group and check this out. They've got like over 50 games.
Ooh.
Seemed like they had like the popular titles, like
some of the few, like Beat Saber, Super Hot.
Yeah.
Just like I Beat Saber's always the first game that kind of comes to mind when I think of VR.
Yeah. So yeah, we rented ourselves a couple rooms,
and it was like we ended up having a few more people than we thought we were going to have. So we rented 2 rooms for an hour, and I think it was like $135 or something total.
It was less than $20 a person.
Yeah, it was like 15 to 20 each, which is, again, like, I mean, we did play in short bursts and we were passing around the headset, but everybody else can watch on the TV what's going on.
That's cool.
But it would be, I mean, if you, it'd be kind of weird to go there by yourself, but I mean, you could get in a solid experience within an hour. It would be pretty cool. So
yeah, at least try it out.
So you were in a different room than me because we split up
for most of it. I was bouncing around a little, but yeah, me and John and I and our friend Jacqueline were mostly in like the kind of main room that wasn't in a separate room, and then you guys were kind of in a separate, like private room,
right?
Yeah,
but I think we were playing a lot of the same stuff.
Yes,
like we did Beat Saber.
which if you're not familiar, it's kind of like essentially like Guitar Hero, except you're playing with like lightsabers that are it's kind of it's
a rhythm game.
Yeah, it's a rhythm game, and like it's set up like Guitar Hero or Rock Band, where like the notes or whatever are kind of coming towards you,
right?
And like they're just like these blocks that are either on your left or your right, and they're colored blue or green, or maybe they're different colors. I don't know, but you have to use either your blue or green saber to slash through them, and there's like an arrow that will, left or right, it'll kind of show you the direction you have to slash through that block in.
Is there feedback when you do it properly? Or do they like vibrate or anything?
So I played it the first time, and I didn't realize like there wasn't really like an instruction screen or anything. Like we just dove straight into the game.
We didn't play a tutorial or anything, and the arrows are pretty subtle. It's not like a arrow. It's just kind of like a little
on
white
one
triangle.
Of the like borders of it, like it has a like little like white arrow, and like I was just slashing them as they came, not paying attention to the direction I was supposed to.
Sure.
So like I kept hitting all of them, but like a little X would show up, and like it wouldn't have as satisfying as like a result on the screen. But other than that, like there wasn't a ton of communication other than like I was just dropping combos.
Yeah, constantly. I was going to say that was like probably the main notifiers that you weren't keeping the combo going, even though it looked like you were hitting the notes in time,
Right.
And then Jacqueline and I, as we were just watching, John couldn't hear us because he had headphones on, but we were like, John, you got to hit the directions. But once we realized what was going on, it was a pretty cool experience. I really enjoyed
it. Was
Beat
really
Saber,
fun.
Especially like. I didn't really realize. So like you walk into the VR space and it's kind of cool. It's like it very much is like Star Trek. Like you're in the or you're in the danger room with the X-Men. It's got that kind of like blue grid. Like when you're nearing like the space of the VR space. And I think we were using a Vive. HTC Vive. It was like Vive controllers. It was definitely a PC setup.
Okay.
Through Steam, but I'm pretty sure it was a Vive. VR headset and everything.
Right.
Yeah, they were definitely Vive controllers. Which the controllers were kind of weird. They were like these pretty huge, like
think of like twice the size of like Wiimotes, but with like a
huge like gyroscope.
Circle? Yeah,
like almost like these mic shock mounts. It kind of looked like that on top of the thing.
Yeah, at first I wasn't sure if that was built into the controller or if that was something that they added on so that they wouldn't break.
Like a protective measure. I'm pretty sure that's like the gyro stuff, but I'm talking out of my ass. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but
I thought the part that, was most, frustrating for me was the button that they would have on the side of the controller, because there was no real easy way to access it, I felt like.
Yeah,
I can't say I
played any game that needed that button.
Me either.
Did you use that in Superhot?
There was we played Pistol Whip, and I think like reloading and stuff required that.
And it wasn't something like you could just like squeeze your hand with, like you kind of needed to like move a finger to press the button. Or?
Yeah, it wasn't the smoothest experience.
It was an interesting controller because it kind of just has like a trigger. It's kind of like just like the handle of a pistol, essentially. A little bigger than that, but just roughly size-wise. Although I've never held a pistol in my hand, but it's like roughly the size of what I would expect that would be like. And then it just has like a trigger and then like a pad, I don't know if it doubles as a trackpad, but it's just kind of like a big button. But it seems like you can also use it as like a D-pad
I
sort
used
of thing.
it to scroll through the menus.
Okay,
you could also use it for the teleporting if you didn't. Some games you wouldn't be able to like actually walk enough to get where you want to go. You had to like use that to teleport yourself.
Yeah, I know that's for like motion sickness kind of stuff. Like, so again, you kind of have to stay within this blue grid because no matter what room you're doing this in, whether it's your house or at this VR lounge, you're in a restrained space. You can't move outside of this area. So anyways, if you get close to that, it kind of like brings up this wall that you can see, okay, so I need to center myself. But once you're in there, I mean, I would say like Beat Saber, I felt like, okay, this is a cool experience. It felt VR-esque or whatever, but once we booted up SUPERHOT, and especially even I don't know if DJ, were you able to boot that up? Were you the first person who started that game? Because like
SUPERHOT?
When you booted it up and you're like in the main room, like that, like from going from Beat Saber and then the next time I put on the headset to going to that SUPERHOT, and this is like not even in the game, you're just kind of in a menu room and you're like, you have to just pick up these floppy disks off the table and then boot them into the into the computer so that you can start playing the game. But like that felt very real to me. Like once I booted, I mean, it obviously had a stylistic, it wasn't like photo real, but like I felt like I was in that space where like
that's
with
sweet.
Beat Saber, I felt like I was just kind of like, this is a cool experience and I'm really enjoying it. But like SUPERHOT really took it to the next level of like, I am here. And I don't know if that's just because the game had a little bit more. Well, I don't think it is, because as I'm describing it, I've had that feeling even before I started playing the game. I was going to say maybe because the game has more like tactile mechanics than Beat Saber, but I kind of got sidetracked because what I was going to say, getting into the grid, like once I started realizing that you can, like with Beat Saber, back to that, like you're slicing through the blocks, but you have to like move out of the way of like these green like walls that come in, like so you have to like physically move around quite a bit.
Okay.
And I wasn't expecting that as much. I was kind of expecting just like throw on the headset and then like play a regular video game. And I know I knew that that's how you do it, but I just didn't expect it to be so like SUPERHOT felt very accurate to like I'm backing up and doing like a Matrix like lean back dodge.
That's cool.
To dodge these shots, and like it felt like it was tracking my movements pretty well.
Yeah, that was I had not played SUPERHOT prior to
in any
VR
incarnation,
experience.
right? Yeah,
and like that was the most immersive experience I've ever had. Like, and just like the levels where like like if you died, like you would kind of it was kind of like that Edge of Tomorrow, or like that like you just get better and better at that one. Like, so like I would die at one point in a level and I would start back over at like the beginning, and I would know exactly what I would need to do.
Yeah.
I would like shoot someone and I would be able to catch the gun in midair, like automatically, because I had done it so many times before, and that felt so
and it felt
good.
extra good because like, so one thing is once I got home, not immediately, but later that day or the next day, I reinstalled SUPERHOT on my Switch because I cleared it off there to make some room, and obviously not the VR experience. So one thing that the original game does not have is like dual wielding weapons. And because you have two of these controllers in your hand that just have these at least for SUPERHOT, the controls work great because your movement is just based on literally you moving, and then you're just like moving your hands around in the air. And like, again, just like punching an enemy and then like grabbing their pistol out of the air just felt so good. But especially being able to do that, like I punching with my right hand and then with my left hand reaching out, grabbing the pistol, blasting another guy, like it just felt so sweet. And it was really cool. Like they changed the structure, because in the original SUPERHOT, you're just like, it plays like a regular first person shooter control wise, at least, with the conceit being that time only moves ahead or moves forward when you're moving.
Right.
But this game kind of like, again, you're kind of, again, you can move within your little grid that's designated within the VR space, but like
you're pretty
you're stationary, and you're kind of just like, you clear out this small wave of enemies, and then it's like the next challenge, and each level is like maybe 4, 5, 6 challenges strung together. And like John was saying, when you die, you go back to the beginning of that, and then you keep perfecting your run each time, just like you do in the regular game. But it just feels so much more gratifying to do it kind of for real,
How are you moving forward in SUPERHOT VR?
So this is kind of, so you're not really able to. You're kind of like designated in this boxed in grid, and
they develop the levels so that you don't really have to.
Okay,
yeah,
so like everything that you
chunks.
use is like within arm's reach. So like there will be like either a weapon like at your like side, or like
behind
a person
you.
will like be charging at you, and then you can take their weapon after you kill them.
So is it on rails? Like how is movement happening?
You're kind of not moving. You're kind of like, it's almost like these little like vignettes that are popping up. Like it's essentially like an on rails shooter, but with like skipping all the parts of you moving and just going to like, here's the scene of like cover. Where you have,
so like certain areas, like if they're shooting at you, you can move your body
move around
behind like cover, but
I would say like we're probably operating within like a 4x4 foot grid, a 5x5 foot grid, like in terms of a real space. Like so you can move around about that much. So like you can technically like maybe move around behind a wall, or you can duck like under something, and physically, you're ducking. I mean, you
can move. You have like 360-degree range of movement in that space. Like I remember one level where like I had no weapons, but I was being surrounded by people, and basically like you can just like do a 360-degree like punch, like if you duck down, and I would just do that, and that was basically how you would clear the level. Is like you're not moving other than like just reacting to what's around you.
Okay, that's cool.
It was a cool experience, and kind of a cool experience to see it be just totally different than the original game.
Right.
Again, I don't think it's like a jam-packed experience, but like it was really cool. I really liked SUPERHOT. That was probably my personal favorite thing during the VR time that we had. But what about you guys? Do you guys agree?
I think like I would probably play Beat Saber more regularly. And like I would like that has like the repetition of play, but like SUPERHOT I think was my favorite experience. Like that felt like nothing else that I've ever played.
Yeah. And Beat Saber, go ahead, DJ.
I mean, I think I played a couple games that you guys didn't play, though. Like I played Richie's Plank Experience.
I played a little bit of that, but just like one mode.
Which mode did you play?
A little like jetpack mode, kind of.
I love that, yeah.
It was, that one felt fun, but like we were at that point, we were kind of a little like running out of time, and I was like, oh, I could do this for a while, but also I don't want to be just hogging this, so
it definitely seemed like it seemed like something that would probably be a lot more fun or worthwhile to do at home, like when you're not watching the clock and passing a headset around for like we only have about 15-20 minutes each to play, and like I could easily do this for my whole hour of just like messing around in this world. But
just this section of like flying through the city and like trying to go through these rings like kind of in a race, it's just like, oh yeah, like anything where I'm flying, just give me that.
Yeah. And how realistic, because I know one of the other things we tried was the Spider-Man. And again, this was more like, it wasn't a game, it was just an experience. Like there was no goal or objective. It just seemed like you just web sling around the city.
Fun. Which that seems fine. That seems like that could be a lot of fun.
DJ, once he took the reins after I did, and I think a couple other people, Glenn and Jacqueline had tried, and maybe some other folks too. But like I was doing it like kind of two-handed, like pulling myself to the wall, one wall at a time, and like kind of sticking to it. And it was really throwing off my sense of equilibrium or my sense of balance. Like, like to the point where I was like, I got to stop. But like once DJ had the controls, at least I don't know how it felt for you, but like watching you on the TV, he was like going right hand, left hand, like kind of alternating and like actually getting some sense of momentum going. Yeah.
It was,
and
good.
that felt like it probably felt pretty cool.
It was sweet, yeah.
It's like Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, but like for real.
Right.
And it was pretty lenient. Like you could just kind of sling your webs almost as far as you wanted. I don't know. Did you try any other, like what was this pistol whip game? I know that was like the woman who was like hosting or kind of set us up and gave us a little quick tutorial. She was kind of mentioned that being her favorite game.
Yeah, that was like an actual on rails game. So like you could, like duck and stuff, but like your character was constantly moving forward, and it's kind of like, those arcade games where it's just like people popping out, you have to take them out real quick just because I guess you don't have as much agency with your movement.
Yeah.
But man, no, it was still, it was SUPERHOT-esque, but I still think SUPERHOT was probably my favorite of the day.
Yeah, well, especially because there's that feedback of like time only moving forward when you're moving. Like that's a cool mechanic in the regular video game, but when you have that tied to like your actual physical movements in real life, like it was just, it was like, it really felt like you were like in the Matrix, like as cheesy as that sounds, but like you really felt like you were like sucked into this.
Yeah, quickly turning around and seeing a bullet come towards you, and knowing that you still had like you felt that rush of adrenaline, and then you're just like, oh, but I can still dodge it.
Yeah, or even like you turn and like there's already a bullet whizzing past you, and you're just like, oh shit! Right? It was a really cool experience.
And the variety, you can like approach all the levels. Like you've got these weapons at your disposal, or like even, we got to watch our friend Jack.
I was just gonna say, there's like some throwing stars on some of the levels, and like I think we at the time, like she was one of the first ones to try it, and we couldn't figure out how to like throw things, because one of the things you can do in Super Hot is like throw your gun if you're out of ammo and like hit an enemy and then grab their gun or something to it doesn't always kill the enemy, but it can just kind of knock them out. But we couldn't figure out, the throwing stars would kill the enemies, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't figure out how to throw it, so Jacqueline was just like ducking down
and
like as low as she could and just like, just hacking at their shins with these. But like, and again, just watching it on the TV, and then also watching Jacqueline wearing a headset, totally unaware of like what she looks
ground, like just yelling.
Yeah, just going, oh my God, and hacking away at some red, I don't know, cyber humans.
That's great.
It was pretty entertaining.
That's great.
Pretty entertaining stuff. So I know the whole time, like, while we were there, I was definitely like looking up on my phone, how much is a PlayStation VR again? Like, how much does this cost? Because like even just Beat Saber again, and for what it's worth, like Super Hot being like a more of an engrossing experience, but I feel like Beat Saber is like maybe more of an engrossing experience for your body. Like it could be like, if you start playing in the harder modes, like once we bumped it up to hard, it was getting a little bit of a workout. And then there were some modes that you could do like 90 degrees or 360 degrees. Yeah. So we're going like Pokemon Puzzle League style, 360 degree rotation. I don't think any of us tried that actually, but so like, again, that sense of space, like even once I realized like, oh, you got to kind of sidestep these walls, but now you got to like fully spin around. And, I know VR is not something that everyone has the space for in their home, or even has the ability to afford, whether it's, on a computer, it's going to cost you a little bit more. But even for someone like me I do have a PlayStation 4, but it's not a Pro. So I'm kind of like
told
that's the better way to do VR. And, the PS5s, the next generation of consoles are right around the corner.
I'm just waiting for that.
It's kind of like maybe we should wait. Maybe that next generation is going to be where VR fully takes a grasp on the market a little bit and has some. I know there's been some bunch of great games, but
I mean, if the PS5 can do what the Vive was doing when we went there, like that's good enough for me.
Yeah,
I mean,
and even if it's a little less than that, I mean, it was I think that the Vive, from what I understand, is one of the better VR units.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Or one of the more powerful, at least. I guess better is kind of subjective, but I definitely am very intrigued as I was intrigued before, and now I'm even more compelled after having tried it. It's something I definitely want to own at some point.
Yeah, the physical activity is really appealing to me. I mean, I'd been curious about games like Ring Fit, but I also don't like the idea of like, I have this ring thing that I'm only using for this game. Like,
have you ever had a gym membership?
Yes, and I got rid of them all.
Yeah, but then you get to keep the ring.
I'm too much of a purger for that to be something I'd actually hang on to. But yeah, I do want to take advantage of the physical activity that a VR provides, which I wasn't anticipating going into
I wasn't expecting like even Super Hot, which you can kind of play at a pretty slow pace or methodical pace. You're still like you're contorting your body around quite a bit. Like it's pretty cool. It was more engaging physically than I expected it to be.
I feel like there's a lot of possibilities still there in the game industry to do more physical things. I mean, Microsoft certainly took their shot at that with Kinect, back on 360 and the start of Xbox One too. But I think something like that, and obviously the Wii, that was its whole thing for a while too. But something like that, I think, could really take off again, and maybe VR is the method for that.
I mean, that anything where you're getting people involved physically in the game seems to be what brings people that aren't into games into games, Yes. Mm-hmm. And I know that VR, obviously, like we mentioned, the cost of it, but also just like the fact of like strapping in, there's a lot more to it than just like hold this Wii remote and just pretend like you're bowling and it'll work, But I'm definitely curious to see what the future holds for VR and want to get a setup more, and now that I just want it again. Now that we're just having this conversation, I'm back to like, maybe I'll just get one now.
Do it.
I'm not going to though. I'm not gonna tease any podcast listeners. It won't happen anytime, at least soon. But I do want to get one, and I will purchase one eventually.
Would you guys go back to that lounge with me?
Yeah. Especially with a slightly smaller group, like with 3 or 4 of us, like to get a little more time in.
Yeah.
Like, even if it cost us a little more each, because I'm sure that was like a per room price, you know?
It was.
But I would happily pay a little bit more to have like a little bit more of a full-fledged experience. So
heck yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. So we'll follow up on that if we make it. What was the name of that place? The Krytpon Lounge?
VR Lounge.
Krytpon VR Lounge. I think they have a couple locations in Chicago. I don't know if they're a chain of any kind beyond that, but
I think they've just got the 2 locations, one in Lakeview, one in Lincoln Park.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Cool. Well, since we've been kind of leaving Randall out of that conversation, I think we can leave DJ out of this one.
Yeah.
Because Randall, John, and I have all been playing some WarGroove.
Yes, sir.
Kind of sparked by, I don't know if it's out just yet, but I think it might come out tomorrow, actually, as of when we're recording this podcast. But very soon, sometime in February, this new WarGroove DLC comes out, which I think adds like a new faction and a couple new types of like terrain or something like that, or biomes. But this is like a very heavily inspired by Advanced Wars back on the like Game Boy Advance and DS days from Intelligent Systems and Nintendo. And this is just like a turn-based tactical strategy game, I guess.
An army-based strategy game.
With a little bit more, I guess I've actually never played any of the Advanced Wars games, but obviously they're pretty cartoony, but like these seem like there's a little bit more of like fantasy involved, like a little bit more, like very, very colorful cartoony, but it seems like there's a little more like Game of Thrones vibes going on, where there's like plant monsters and there's, there's like magic and there's some elements of that, which is kind of what caught my eye. And not, I guess I shouldn't say that, because what caught my eye is certainly the pixel art in this game. I mean, it is just a beautiful, from the tactical maps to the animations of the battle sequences. I mean, this game, top to bottom, just looks gorgeous.
It does.
And that was certainly what caught my eye to begin with. And again, having been someone who's never played the Advance Wars games and having heard so many good things about them, I figured this was the place to jump in. And once I saw there was like cross-platform play and online play and asynchronous multiplayer and just a bunch, it was just seemed so loaded with features that for $20 I was like, I'm gonna pick this up, and I never got around to playing it until recently. I've been having a great time so far, but what are both of your experiences with Advanced Wars? Why don't you start us off, John or Randall, since you're leaning in?
I'm always leaning in. That's my bad posture. So, no, I bought the Advance Wars games, especially the GBA ones when they came out. I think I got the first DS one when it came out too, and then grabbed that second DS one later cheaply on Amazon. So glad to own all of those, because then Nintendo decided that Fire Emblem is all the strategy we ever needed, and decided that Advance Wars wasn't worth making anymore, which is unfortunate. And I love Fire Emblem, but
it's funny you say that, because this does kind of seem a little bit like Fire Emblem meets Advance Wars, at least with like the fantasy themes wise.
Yeah, the themes, but
not so much gameplay wise.
The gameplay is like whole cloth Advance Wars.
Yes, it is Advance Wars plus the ability of having like a chief unit, like a more powerful unit available. Where at least in the first Advance Wars games, like that unit didn't really exist on the battlefield. You just like had an army that was themed around a certain like character, and they had a power they could use after so many turns or whatever, if I'm remembering that correctly.
Yeah, they would be the commanding officers, so you would have like COs that you would have like abilities that as you like, took down enemy units or like just built like things over time. You had a power up that would charge up, and then you could use them based on like one of them would heal your units,
Right.
another one would like increase the range of all your ranged or indirect units. But
Right.
like this one does, like, instead of that being your player character that you technically are, like it's more of like, oh, that is just another unit on the field.
battlefield. Yeah.
Which I kind of
So
prefer the WarGroove approach, to be honest. I kind of like having that unit on the battlefield that's a little stronger.
I still kind of like the CO way, the abstraction a little bit better, but like I do like that it offers so the ways that you could win most of the time in Advance Wars is you could either capture the enemy's HQ,
Right.
or you could rout the enemy by clearing the map of every single unit.
Right.
In
Okay.
this one, it also offers the ability that once you take down the
commander.
the commanding unit, like that will end the battle.
Right.
And sometimes like they're really strong. They're like significant. They have much higher
They're by
defense
far
than
your
any
most
other
powerful unit,
Yeah.
offensively and defensively.
Yes.
So sometimes like that is like, you know, a difficult thing to do, but sometimes it's just easier to focus all of your like firepower on that one unit and end the battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's definitely a sense of like I gotta keep, like I want to get my commander into the mix because I want to do some damage, but I also can't get them too much into the mix until maybe later in the battle. Which some of these battles are pretty drawn out. You know, I'm just getting I think I've gotten to chapter 4 in like the main campaign, which they're pretty short chapters in the sense that there's usually just like a mission or two and then like a couple side missions that are optional. And that's pretty much it. Maybe 3 missions at the most. But those missions can play out, you know, anywhere from a half an hour to an hour.
Oh yeah.
Depending on how quickly you play. You know, thankfully there's all kinds of settings for like turn off all the animations or turn on fast play, which once I got the hang of it, like as much as I love all the animations, it's like I have everything turned off to like commanders only animations and like always fast movement speed.
Yep.
And like you can hold down B at any time to skip any of the animations. You can hold down B to speed through any movement speed when another player's taking their turn.
Love that stuff.
So that stuff's really nice. It streamlines the experience. I don't know if this game, it is available on PC, right? Because I do think that's I'm pretty sure it is, but if not, it's something that would definitely be nice to have like a cursor, because like one of the things, like you're just moving around your cursor with the joystick or with the D-pad, and it's a grid-based game, so it's not too precise or anything, but like you're able to like click on an enemy unit and see what their movement range is and where their attack range would be, and so you're kind of able to do that and see like, okay, where do I want to position my units? So like on a computer, I can just imagine that would just be so much quicker. Like if that's something that you can just hover over the character, see their movement rate, you don't have to keep like, let me highlight the tile, let me select them, like, and there's definitely, and I guess this could probably happen on PC as well, but I definitely have done a couple things where like I made a move, but like I wish there was some kind of rewind feature to like, I hit that move by mistake. They do offer, like, you can save scum in this game if you would like you can save where it's at, make a bunch of turns, and then, okay, no, I want to reload to where it was at before I made that mistake. But you have to consciously decide to say, you can't go, oh, let me start at the last turn, which there's just been a handful of times where I've just made like a boneheaded move, like not even intentionally, you know, just hit A twice too quickly, or like didn't realize I had another character left that had moves available, or
because some of the maps are pretty big. Like you can lose track of some of your units pretty easily.
Yeah, and some of your units, like one thing that I wish they would let you do is like position, like in Into the Breach, for example. I think they kind of let you you could move a unit, and then if it's like attack or healing ability, whatever ability you wanted to use, you didn't have to necessarily like move and then also do that attack. You could move and position all your units independently. Like each phase was kind of separate almost, or they were all kind of simultaneous, but you could do them in any order. Where this is like, for example, like one of your characters you get at one point will like get like a healing ability, what one of your commanders. So once you move, you can like move to a spot and then heal like a small radius around you. But like if you move and just click like that you want to just move there, if you don't click heal, you won't be able to like move there and then select heal. Like you have to click the tile you want to move to, and then instead of clicking move, you have to select heal.
Right.
And then your character will move to that tile and then execute the heal command. But I just wish it would allow you to like position your characters and then still do an attack or do something after. You kind of have to do that character's full movement in one fell swoop.
Right.
Which is just like, again, it just led to me a few times making some dumb mistakes or just missing something. But a small gripe, because I am definitely kind of sucked into this game, and I'm definitely curious to. I've only really been playing we've played a little bit, Randall, John, and I, of an online match that we've maybe gotten a little bit into combat of.
Yeah,
just kind of asynchronous. Like, again, Randall's been studying for some tests and whatnot lately,
and we've forgotten.
Yeah,
don't put this on me, Kevin. We were waiting on you, man.
Hey, me? On me? Come on. I've been making the most moves.
Waiting on Randall.
I think we're waiting on Randall currently.
Now,
I would say I'm...
But yeah, no, I think I had also been waiting on me for several days because I literally forgot that we were doing that.
Yeah. No worries. But one thing that's nice is, I will say, we're playing that. We have been playing this even though we haven't gotten that far into the game. We're playing asynchronously and just kind of taking our turns separately. And for, some of these games on the Switch can take quite a while to load into. I mean, I can load into WarGroove and get into our online game within under a minute for sure. Mm-hmm. Probably under 30 seconds. I mean, by the time I click the game and boot it up and get into online and sync up and load our game and make my move, like within a minute, it is crazy fast. Like, if it wasn't that fast, that asynchronous would almost be useless to me. Mm-hmm. But it's not. It's sweet pretty too. Impressive.
You can have like your multiplayer save. You can have your single player save. And it looks like you could even have, because I downloaded a few of the other campaigns that were just available from other people, which is another awesome thing.
Yeah.
It has its
just
like own
created
editor. Like I downloaded some of those, and I think I could just start those as well. And it would just keep all these separate saves going on the game. And like, that's so cool.
It looks like there's a bunch, and you can keep multiple online games going at a time, so that asynchronous play really comes into play. You can just kind of bounce around. It's really cool.
Yeah, super cool. And like the custom creator is also really robust. Like
you've made a few maps, right?
I've made a few. Like I'm still like, the problem with making any sizable or like complicated enough map is that you need to play test it, and once you start play testing like a map of that size, like it takes that's actually kind of my main complaint with the game, is that like on the like default difficulty level, every level takes so long. And it's not that it's not enjoyable, it's like, but you kind of get to a point where it's either like, okay, I have enough momentum that I am going to win this map in 10 turns,
right?
Or like, I know that I will lose this map, but it is going to take that same amount of time.
Yep.
And like, it's just the feeling of like, I wish that this just happened a little bit quicker. But like, it does have kind of built into it the fact that like there are like really customizable difficulty sliders.
Yep.
So like, one thing that I was able to do was like they have preset difficulty levels.
Which it defaults to, I think, hard. Like it defaults to hard mode.
Okay,
so it's definitely meant to be a game that's handing it to you a little bit. They're maybe not going for the full blown XCOM experience, but they're going for a tough game.
And I played a few of like maybe the first chapter on like whatever the default difficulty was. But then I was like, when you guys started playing it and I wanted to go a little bit further in and like, actually start enjoying the game, I was like, you know what? I don't need to get a like perfect ranking on every level. I don't need to get the maximum number of stars. And I was like, you could set it to easy and it would be like, oh, you can only earn this many stars on a map. And I'm like, that's fine.
Big whoop.
As long as like the battles like don't take as long and like I'm still getting, that challenge enough of like, I can't just breeze through these levels. There's still some strategy involved. But I think that like once you figure out, exactly what you want from a game like this one, like you can change how much gold you get per turn. You can change how much damage you're doing, like from like 100% like to maybe like if you want a little bit more difficulty, maybe your units only do 90% damage. And like they're really granular like difficulty sliders that are on a bunch of different things. So I liked that, and I thought that was a really cool touch that definitely increased my enjoyment of the game.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have been hardcore and just said, nope, this is the experience and you get what you get. But they didn't, thankfully. They had those options, and I also bumped mine down because I think around Act 3 or whatever they call those, it's like a
That's
difficulty
about
buzz
right.
saw. Oh my God, this is too much. And yeah, like John was saying, it's just okay, I'm grinding it out and I'm not doing well now. And this is becoming less fun. And the whole thing doesn't have to be fun. It can just be the challenge of it, which I did enjoy. But I'm no, let me just take this down one difficulty setting where I take 20% less damage and, my, arts recharge or whatever it is for your commander, happens 20% faster. And that was enough to be okay, there it is. There's my happy spot again, at least for now, until I get the next difficulty spike.
Yeah. And one thing I really like, and I guess I can't speak for this new faction that's about to come out, but as I've progressed through the game, you unlock a couple new factions. But I really like that for the most part, it seems there's slightly different abilities again with your commanders and stuff. But for the most part, the enemy units are other than pixel art wise, they look cool and have their own styles. But it's every unit has the same abilities. Or every team or whatever has the same type of units.
You'll have a base soldier, you'll have a pikeman, or
a dog type character, and
a ranged unit, two different types. One that's anti-air, one that's just ground.
Yeah, and then an archer, and it's just
a catapult.
Yeah, once you're used to one faction, you kind of unlike Into the Breach, which I was comparing this to earlier, where there's every. Maybe a little bit too much to say every unit is a new game, but I mean it's you're learning new mechanics, where this is you're not really. They're all basically the same. The costs for each unit are the same. It's pretty much down the line the same.
It's a little bit more. It's pretty much the same as in Advance Wars, where it's you get a different palette swap based on what country you're doing. But at least this one, they have a little bit more diversity in the design, so they'll actually have different names, but the functions will be exactly the same.
Right.
Yeah. And, so instead of one army having in Advance Wars, they're just wearing different outfits, or the actual units look different. This one, they'll have different names and different descriptions, but they will be pretty much exactly
virtually
the same.
Same movement range, same attack, roughly, same weaknesses, same whatever. So that I really like that about it, where it's at first I was this is going to be a little overwhelming, but and one thing that speaking to the overwhelming aspect, I know you just started dipping into the arcade mode, John, which is kind of separate from this game is just packed with modes, but the arcade mode you were saying you were maybe a little more into, a little more bite size.
Yeah, or it's not so much bite size as it's just streamlined. It's just map after map after map. So you're not there's not as much story, but everything's unlocked.
The slow build and
because the campaign mode is definitely built around the idea of here's the next batch of units that you're going to get introduced to.
Right.
Here's a fog of war mechanic.
Yeah,
and the arcade mode is just hey, you have everything. Just play some maps. And
that sounds really appealing too.
Yeah,
wow.
Almost more appealing. Yeah,
who's played a ton of Advance Wars games? That was kind of what I think I started playing it as soon as I did. It was because I was had the hubris of I've played this game before, I can do this, and then I got some amphibious enemy or units. I was I actually have no idea how this works. So I went back and played a little bit more of the campaign so that I could at least get introduced to a couple more units before just doing some trial and error.
Yeah.
But I really like the arcade mode. I think it's a fun mode.
Man.
Yeah, and I really find the tactics to be pretty engaging. I do think some of the interface stuff could be, how it shows it'll just show a number from 1 to 10 or 0 to 10, I guess, or 0 to 9 that shows your enemy's health. And that's just if it's a 9, you're roughly at 90% health. Just the battlefield when there's a bunch of enemies on it or a bunch of players on each side. But it can start to look a little cluttered, a little difficult to read at times, just a tiny bit. But,
sure.
but still like small gripes. It has, again, even options to change those. Like they're like little badges, almost like an iPhone app, like where it'll show like the health, but you can actually change that to health bars if you want. But that, to me, I changed it and it cluttered up the board or the screen a little bit more.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I can see that.
But yeah, I kind of like how, it always shows like how much damage you're going to do and how much damage they're going to do back to you when you attack. And
yep.
I don't know. It really feels like a very convoluted game of chess. And I like that.
Yep. A little extra layer of complexity and video gaminess on top of chess is a sweet spot too. Yeah, I'm going to have to check out that arcade mode. That kind of reminds me of, I played a lot of the Shining Force games, Shining Force CD, which is actually like two of the Game Gear games mashed together. And it was just that. It was just like, here's battle after battle after battle. There's no story. It's just battle. All right, all your teams healed up. Maybe you can upgrade your weapons. Go out again. Next level, next level, next level. So I'm definitely going to check out that arcade mode. And Kevin, to your point too, there is a PC version as well of WarGroove. Just to
I think this is out on virtually everything.
Yes, it is.
So definitely worth checking out, and definitely something I'm going to continue to play. I'm happy I picked this up on my Switch because it's something I can very, very easily see myself like, I'm curling up before bed and I'm just going to play half of a battle, or maybe this arcade mode, a full battle if they're a little shorter, or a little more streamlined. So
do you remember how much you picked it up for?
I know normal. I think I bought it right around the time it came out. I think it was just $20. I think I paid full price.
Okay. Yeah. I am intrigued by.
It seems like a game you would like.
No, I've played none.
So yeah, like I will say, like I love the Advance Wars series. It's one of my favorite series, like especially in the tactics genre. But I will say, like, this game, I like it, and I really like, all the customization stuff that you can do, and I like, this asynchronous multiplayer that you could never do in that. But more often than not, I don't find that it's scratching an itch for me. Ooh. It's more making me like, as we've just been talking about this, all I've been thinking about is where did I put my copy of Advance Wars Dual Strike, and how am I going to find it and play that tonight?
Nice.
Because I love the takes that WarGroove does on like how you capture like cities, and I think that it does a lot of really interesting like reinventions of it. It's not a straight copy. Like it does a lot of things different, but a lot of the stuff that I loved from Advance Wars are just not in this game. And I'm like, I really just want to have like my whole army of indirect like units that I can just build an entire thing on.
Artilleries. Yeah.
Grit as my CO.
Nice.
What you're saying is if I pick up this game, you'll be too busy playing Advance Wars taking the asynchronous
multiplayer. Well, I will play with you for sure, because I'm still I'm planning on this being kind of like a Switch staple for me.
Oh yeah,
and just picking it up and playing it from time to time.
Be, like logging back in and like checking. We can start as many multiplayer stuff as we want,
and it does have cross-platform play, so you don't have to get it on the Switch.
That's
DJ.
really cool.
You can even get it on the PC and play it right alongside what you've been playing lately. DJ probably playing the only new game out of any of us. He's playing some Warcraft 3. Quote new. But yeah, you've been playing some Warcraft 3 Reforged. So I know only dipping in, it just came out recently. So
yeah, and it doesn't have great reviews.
No, I noticed that.
Yeah, I guess
on it.
User reviews or actual reviews? Because I kind of want to, because sometimes there's like those spam user reviews that people are just like, it got delayed, and you know what I mean?
So I mean, a lot of this I heard secondhand, because like I kind of keep myself in the dark a lot. Like when I first found out that this was going to be a thing was like a year ago, I was just like, okay, cool, I'm buying this, and I kind of paid attention to nothing else about it,
and you pre-ordered it like right then.
Because like Warcraft 3 is like one of my favorite, if not my favorite, video game. I've put like countless hours into it. Like I've played the campaigns like 4 or 5 times probably. I play like every year. There's always like a month or two where I'm just like, okay, I'm playing Warcraft.
Sucks 3. You back in, yeah.
So like it's just like what do I need to, pay attention to what's going on with that? Like, I know I want this, but I from what I've heard, again, I heard this secondhand, but like there were, changes that were maybe promised in terms of like updates to the lore that more coincide with things that have gone on in World of Warcraft. And I guess maybe they didn't deliver on some of those expectations they set, so people are upset about that. It's more or less just like a graphical update to the game,
right?
Which to me is like that's all I needed. Like, I'm not a World of Warcraft person, so like whatever changes were promised, like if they were inspired by that, like that doesn't affect me.
Doesn't make a difference to your enjoyment of the game.
Yeah.
Had you ever played World of Warcraft?
I've done a few free trials. I'm into the lore of that universe. I find that when I play World of Warcraft, I'm addicted, but I'm not actually getting anything out of the gameplay.
Like just checking off boxes,
Yes.
kind of. Yeah.
Yes.
That's the impression I get. And then I know that that's the type of person I am anyways.
Right.
And then if I add the fact that I'm paying, I don't know how much the subscription is for World of Warcraft,
Like
but
$15 a month.
I know if I'm paying any kind of monthly fee to be using something, then I'm going to be thinking, if I'm sitting around playing SUPERHOT or I'm playing WarGroove, I'm going to be thinking, but I really should be playing World of Warcraft because I'm paying $15 a month.
Exactly.
So I've just never even considered trying it for that reason.
Yeah, it's just not gameplay that I find rewarding, but I guess, like, people have said, it's, you're supposed to be in like all these like clans and stuff and like doing these massive raids, and like that was, only doing the free trial, you don't really partake in that stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess I didn't get the full experience, obviously, but the experience I got wasn't one that I found to be terribly satisfying. But Warcraft 3.
So is it? I know they updated Blizzard updated StarCraft recently. StarCraft 2, was it? And they kind of did the same thing,
StarCraft
or
1.
the original, but it kind of the same thing, right? It was like an HD, mostly visual overhaul.
Yeah, and you can toggle between like the different modes, which you can do with this. You can go back to the original art style, which it's
not a bad. The original is not a bad looking game. It's dated, but it's not bad.
I like the cartooniness of it.
Oh, yeah.
And like the the Reforged kind of removes that. It's like things look more detailed, but like
so it's a different aesthetic.
Yeah.
Also, did they redo the cinematics?
I saw the opening cinematic and it looked the same.
Because honestly, those cinematics,
they're good.
Look great.
They age well.
I think they have like they're not like trying to be like photorealistic.
No.
Like they have a very distinct style, and I think that has like
that
really
goes a long
held
way.
up.
I mean, like I don't know if we've ever talked about it on the podcast, but even just going back to like this is maybe too much of a blanket statement, but like going back to like the N64 and PlayStation 1 era, it's like by no means does Mario 64 still look amazing or anything, but like the more cartoony stylized look holds up so much better than like going and trying to play like Metal Gear Solid and like everybody is just an octagon.
I would say a better comparison, honestly, well, at least the one that I have made, is like comparing like GameCube to like PlayStation 2, where like a lot of PlayStation 2 was kind of going for realism at the time.
Right.
And like GameCube just couldn't do that. So you got games like Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door, which was just like beautiful.
Oh
and
my
still
God,
looks incredible.
game.
Or like Wind Waker.
Yeah, but
that,
like
have
Wind
like
Waker
specific styles that like don't really look like anything other than exactly what they're trying to do.
But even something like Super Mario Sunshine, like that kind of looks like just a regular 3D platformer, but it just looks so much. It's so much more bright and color. Like Nintendo has always had a knack, at least for me, for like getting the most out of their hardware. And like you're even playing, I've Xenoblade Chronicles 2, just dipping into that recently. It's like, man, this game looks like. I mean, it's obviously doesn't look like a PS4 game, but I'm sitting there going like, I can't really tell the difference. This game looks beautiful.
Looks good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Anyway, that was
I don't even know how we got there.
We were just talking about the cinematics from like the Blizzard, but
from a
Blizzard's
game that came out in 2003.
Good Lord, was it really 2003?
2003,
Jesus.
baby.
So when did StarCraft come out?
When did Toy Story come out? It's like almost the first animated film.
Yeah,
95 for Toy Story.
Yeah.
Like StarCraft was like 2000,
Because like, so the relationship
or
that
like late 90s.
I remember we've talked about this before, but like the relationship that like you have like with Warcraft is like I don't have like the like devotion, but I loved the original StarCraft
Did.
and Brood War, and
You
that
didn't
was
get
super.
StarCraft 2.
I didn't because I also haven't had like a computer that's been able to play them since I originally played
Fair enough,
StarCraft.
yeah.
Like I played StarCraft and like Warcraft 3, and then I never had a computer that could play them ever again. So I just have this nostalgia that I've never been able to relive.
Yeah. I also, had StarCraft. I guess I tend to lean more towards fantasy than sci-fi, so it's probably why we veered in different directions. But
And I loved the Zerg so much, but then they just split it up between the Brood or the what was it? The Undead and the what else had?
I mean, you could say there are elements of the Zerg in both the orcs and the undead,
because you had the Blight and then the Creep was the mechanics.
Yeah.
Now I need to play these again.
I know.
Someone
God, it's
give
been
me a
so long.
computer.
Well, I know, DJ, you said you've played the campaigns a bunch of times in Warcraft 3, but are you playing online at all with people? So you've already dipped into the online in this remastered version?
Yeah, and like that's
Reforged.
Honestly, like the most appealing thing. Like they didn't need to change anything for me. It was just the fact that this is being released again means that people are going to be playing online again.
Right.
Because it got to a point where like, you would log on and it would say like there may be like a few thousand people like online, and it would take like sometimes it would take like minutes to find matches, when I remember back in the day it was like less than 30 seconds.
Right.
And now it's back to like that less
Everybody's
than 30
playing
second.
again, yeah.
I am so pumped.
Are people doing that pre-Dota mode thing again, like they did back in the day? You know what I'm talking about?
What do you mean?
So
like Dota before
you know what Dota
Dota
is?
Yes.
So
You mean
like
custom games?
Warcraft 3 multiplayer, like there's a whole like spin-off mode that basically spawned what Dota is from Warcraft 3.
Right. The custom games.
Yes.
Like with the level editor. I actually don't know if I think that's still a thing. I think there's still a level editor.
Dota 3.
Yeah,
That would be amazing.
Just put it back into Warcraft 3.
Dota 3 Reforged.
I haven't looked into any of the custom games. I just played like the regular ladder games.
Probably a lot more people playing that mode anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, there were so many great games back in the day. I mean, there was Dota, Uther Party, Kodo Tag.
Oh my god!
I've never even heard of any of that. Uther Party.
Uther Party was like there's this character, Uther the Lightbringer, and so they made like a Mario Party spin-off.
Why isn't it just real quick? Why isn't it Luther the Lightbringer?
It's his name.
Luther, get out of here! Give me that alliteration.
Come on.
Anyways,
just so many. Like I do need to look into the custom games, because I that was a big piece of my hours that I put into that game. I assume they still have the level editor, but maybe I'm wrong. I didn't look into it. I have to do my research.
Yeah, we'll
I didn't do
follow
my
up,
research before doing this recording.
Well, no, I mean, you've only
modes you like.
I just played what I wanted to play. I was playing stuff before I came over here.
Well, did you feel like you were able to, in the sense of like having played it before, were you able to just boot it up and like, I get it? Like, were you able to just skip through all the tutorial stuff, or did you have to play through that stuff?
Yeah, I guess like getting used to how certain units look now is really the only part I need to get used to.
Like aesthetically.
Right? Yeah, because, there's some significant updates to how certain units look. I think like just being able to instinctually be like, I don't know, like I have the original aesthetic and game just so ingrained in my mind that I need to like adapt it to this new version, but like that shouldn't be that big of a
that'll
deal.
you'll get over that hurdle quickly, I would imagine. Yeah.
Also, is Frozen Throne included?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. They didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Because they included Brood War when they did the
nice
the StarCraft remaster. So.
Okay, because I wasn't sure. Yeah, like because I know they had the heroes like units in the like. Do those have like huge differences between like the original and the Reforged? Or is it mostly like the like individual units that you normally have?
I mean, all units look
completely different.
Not completely different, but like it's
redone. It's not just like upscaled or something. It's like fully redone.
Yeah, and I think the most significant updates I'm seeing is how certain hero abilities look. I think that has appeared to me to be the most striking difference. But again, like I've got those hotkeys memorized, so I don't have to rely on that.
Nice.
Good old hotkeys.
I was very close to, when I threw it back to you and had Kevin play Titanfall 2, which you still need to do.
Still need to play more. Definitely still need to play more.
I was so close to making you get Warcraft 3 Reforged.
Mr. New Computer. Yeah,
you've got one.
Oh man. Yeah, well, I'm curious to definitely hear some more, and happy to hear that even though, despite some middling or even negative reviews, that you're happy with it and enjoying the, rekindling the flames of the old experience. So,
and if you want that old experience, I still have my discs. They're useless to me now.
I mean, as long as you have the battle.net keys.
I do.
Beautiful. Well, I think we can pretty much leave it off there this week. We'll be back next week, as always, with some more video game talk, or maybe some board game, card games, VR games. Who knows what we'll be playing, but
heck yeah,
we'll definitely be playing some games. And in the meantime, you can find us at pursuingpixels.com. We're on Twitter and Instagram at pursuingpixels. And otherwise, you can email us at pursuingpixels@gmail.com.
Talk to us.
And I think that pretty much covers the gamut. But until next week, we'll catch you all then on Monday. Take care.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, really, I only really see John for what that's worth.
Yeah,
then
you get a little
face
like
is normally obscured with a microphone.
Right.
Most of the time, so it's mostly just my body language.
We just basically put the video up so Randall knows we're alive. He sees some movement. He's like, okay.
Yeah, all right.
I think those guys
more
are still
confident about this.
Still kicking over there.
I mean, it's definitely for our benefit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it almost feels like you're just sitting in the room with us. Like how huge you are on the screen. Right. Like your face might even be larger than DJ's head.
Yeah.
In relative,
I do have a large head.
Big fucking head
as well, so that kind of helps fill the screen appropriately.
Yeah. I have a large noggin as well, which came into play during the VR session.